Okay, so this chapter 5, was pretty interesting to me because it consisted of so many different factors within one nonprofit organization, and it involved so many different people in the workplace, yet the ethical responsibility in this particular story only fell onto like basically one, but a couple of people's shoulders. To kind of summarize the situation, a nonprofit was basically in the process of rebranding and scheduling several focus groups to test like taglines on. And at the same time, there was also a newly hired VP of communications that basically came up with like her own tagline and incorporated it within the focus groups. So this VP's tagline basically fell through, so she felt the need to manipulate the outcome. So the communications department employee, Jessica Shelby, was selected to be a part of the group that kind of led the rebranding effort. And she had worked there for a couple of years and had felt like she could contribute more to the company. So she was really eager to basically benefit this nonprofit that she worked for in a greater way than previously. However, she was also the only one who knew of what the VP had done in order to push her tagline to the top, and she knew that that would be really misleading for the organization in the long run. Despite what she knew, she remained really silent about the situation, and it actually ended up not only affecting her work ethic and her view on the job that she once was in love with, but it also led the nonprofit in the completely wrong direction for a long amount of time. So the way that Jessica Shelby handled the situation was a little disappointing upon initial reading, but I felt like she took away a lot from that situation to put towards future dilemmas if she ever was in another one. But if I would have been in her position, I feel that, like, if I saw how much the rebranding strategy was heading in the wrong direction due to this newly hired VP who hadn't been with the nonprofit, who didn't know what worked for them, and was just kind of spitballing her own ideas in a way that only benefited her, I probably would have spoken up to someone, mostly because I have a big mouth, but also because that weight on your shoulders had to have been like overwhelming. I don't know how she didn't say anything, honestly. But it also became like a financial burden on the organization. So through reading this chapter, it kind of put into perspective that being silent isn't always the best response to difficult situations, and while it could have created more problems at the time, it also could have promoted Shelby in the eyes of her co-workers once the issue was resolved, and it also could have saved that nonprofit organization a lot of time and a lot of money spent. But I do think that like it's easier to read a situation and say what I might do, but it's a completely different thing whenever you are actually in that situation. So I totally understand the pressure and anxieties that she was under about distributing information that could cause conflict. However, I think she could have handled it differently.